We're headed to see Tony McKelty and the new Bambinos. I'm so excited.
Hello everyone, welcome to Happily Ever Reality. Today we are talking about Sister Wives Season 19, Episode 5. It is titled The Year of Release. That clip I put at the beginning of this video is actually one of the first things we see in this episode, and I just wanted to throw it in here because we don't see that side of Kody very often anymore. He's angry, he's miserable, he's just an unhappy person. But that Kody, that smiling, energetic Kody, that's what we used to see in the earlier seasons. So I feel like we're seeing a little bit of the old Kody, but just a little bit because he goes back to his normal self throughout the rest of the episode. Well, let me be fair. He seems happy at the beginning of this episode when he is visiting McKelty. So let's go ahead and get started. This show starts out with Kody and Robin visiting McKelty, Tony, the twins, and Avalon. Kody and Robin seem really happy to be there. When they're visiting, Kody actually brings up this idea of getting a big house so his children can move in with him and Robin and bring their spouses and children. Or at the very least, he would like to have a big house so everyone can come and visit without making the kids like give up their rooms. He would like to have a bigger home so everyone can come there. And he talks about how when he started the family and he had this vision for his family, it was everyone together, and he would still really like that. Of course, McKelty shoots down the idea of living with him and Robin agrees it's not a good idea. They need to have their own lives, but at this point, Kody seems happy, and it seems like he's wanting to spend time with at least McKelty and Tony and wanting to see them more. Honestly, it doesn't surprise me a whole lot that he is acting this way. These are people that he gets along with. If it was anyone else, I'm sure he would be talking very differently. During this part of the show, I did manage to get a screenshot of Robin smiling, and it looks like a real smile. She was smiling as she was talking about the twins, and it just felt very genuine. I think she was sincerely happy. During this part of the show, we also hear McKelty talk about eating her placenta. I don't really have much to add to that, except I'm sorry if you were actually eating when they talked about it and they showed the picture. I was glad I wasn't snacking during that part of the show. I know there are some people that just have no problem seeing this stuff, but I know there are others like myself that do, and I just wasn't expecting that during this episode. The show flips over to the original wives, and they talk about the idea of eating placenta. Mary says that she thinks it's disgusting. Christine says that she initially thought it was disgusting, but her mind has been changed since she learned more about it. And then Robin says that she was actually the first one in the family to do it, and it was something that her midwife had recommended. After this, the issue of breastfeeding comes up. Tony asked Christine if the women that were in polygamous families would sit in a circle and pass the babies around and breastfeed each other's children. Christine says absolutely not. They did not do that. It's just something they sort of joked about, and it was a rumor that kind of took off about their community, but that is not something they do. During the confessionals, Christine says that she never did this. She never breastfed anyone else's children. Janelle says that she never did it either, but Mary said she did for one child because there were medical issues. So she did it out of necessity for someone else. When this story gets to Robin and she is asked about the mothers sitting in a circle and breastfeeding each other's babies, she says that they do not do that. It is not a situation where they play musical baby. However, she has heard of mothers breastfeeding other women's children just to help support them, help make sure the babies are healthy, just being a part of a supportive community of women. So she says that this is not unheard of in their culture. After this, the show jumps over to Christine, and we find out that she went on a second date with David. And we also find out that Christine told David that she was previously in a polygamous relationship. And David responds by saying he knows about polygamy because he has sisters that are polygamist. Naturally, Christine is concerned that he might want to practice polygamy.
Do you want to live polygamy? And he's like, no, gosh, no, I'm not interested in that. And I'm like, phew.
Christine seems really happy with how things are going. She talks about how her marriage to Kody didn't start out with any sort of giggly romantic parts to it. He was already married and they started out as friends, so this feels very different to her. She also mentions that she needs to talk to David about how or if he is attracted to her. She mentions that he hasn't tried to hold her hand, there hasn't been any sort of physical affection yet. And I can't help but think that her relationship with Kody and all of the comments he has made, the stuff he put in the book about not being attracted to her, has made this something that's very, very important to her. And it might be something that she feels like she has to bring up, because from my perspective, if he's still going out with her, he must be somewhat attracted to her. But I really think that Christine is going to need to hear it, because she assumed Kody was attracted to her, and look at how he talked about her later. So I think she just needs to know for a fact that this man likes her and wants to be with her and wants to hold her hand. So I think it's a little bit different for Christine than it might be for other people.
Before things progress anymore, I need to have a conversation with him about, is he attracted to me and everything like that. So it's like, yeah.
I can't blame her for asking. Going from a polygamous marriage and the husband in that being Kody Brown and the way he is, I would absolutely leave that with all kinds of new insecurities. The thing that Christine really has going for her, though, is that she realizes what didn't work with Kody and what made her unhappy, and it seems like she is going to make sure she doesn't repeat that stuff again. At this point, the show switches over to Janelle's house in Flagstaff. Gabriel is visiting, and we find out that he has been attending Northern Arizona University and speaking with a counselor there. Janelle says that Kody hasn't had any real contact with her children since COVID. I'm going to go ahead and throw in a clip here of Janelle talking about Kody.
And Cody's whole mantra was, my kids have been not loyal to me, and the most precious person in this family who's given her heart and soul has been disrespected.
I guess it's less that she was talking about him and more that she was talking like him. But either way, I enjoyed it, so I didn't want to leave it out. So she is there. She's in the kitchen with Gabriel, and they are talking about the fact that Kody actually reached out to Gabe. Kody called and told Gabriel that he missed him, and they were beginning to talk, and then it started to sound like Kody wanted Gabriel to apologize to him. So basically, Kody was calling him to try to reconcile, but really what he was trying to do was get an apology. Gabe eventually told Kody that if he wasn't ready to have a relationship and fix things, they weren't going to talk anymore. So that phone call wasn't very successful. So a few days later, Kody reaches back out to Gabriel. This time he does it through text. And this is what Gabriel says happened.
It's like, hey, I've been thinking about what you've been saying. I forgive you. Please forgive me. And I was like, forgive me for what?
Honestly, that doesn't surprise me at all. I did the video last week where I just looked at the argument that he had with Robin, and I watched it without the confessionals. Again and again, you hear Kody talk about being the victim. He doesn't understand why they're upset with him. He's the one who's been hurt. He is the one that should have to forgive people. He needs to have a forgiving heart to reconcile with them. So this doesn't surprise me at all. I will give Kody a little bit of credit. The crap that he says on camera appears to be the same crap he talks to everyone else. I mean, I think we're getting the authentic Kody. Gabriel goes on to say that if Kody doesn't change, then he is going to be out of his life, and he's okay with that. He wants his father to take accountability. During a confessional, Janelle talks about how Kody used to be a really good, attentive dad, and he was this way right up through when the kids went into high school, and then something just changed. She says he would talk about how the kids weren't obedient, or they weren't loyal, or they were being disrespectful. She says she doesn't really know what Kody wants anymore, but it seems like he wants them to just go along with whatever him and Robin are wanting or how him and Robin are living. Janelle feels like he wants there to be a family based on a system of patriarchy, and so everyone will just have to align with whatever he wants. But she makes a great point. She says that the kids are growing up and they're spreading out around the country, and he has to be really careful because it's going to be a lot harder to fix these relationships with the kids gaining more independence and moving away from him. Like, it's going to be harder to sit down with them and connect with them at this point. So he's really messing up. When it comes to patriarchy, Kody says there is a misunderstanding. It's not something that he actually wants. Listen to Kody explain what happened.
I've never been patriarchal. I've never behaved patriarchal. I actually was just angry once when Christine was leaving and I said, hey, we're going to do this patriarchy thing, but I've never been patriarchal.
I think Kody realizes that he has said some stuff out of anger. He's been heated, and in the moment he said some stuff that was really ridiculous. I don't think he realizes it all the time when he should, but I do think there are some moments where he goes, okay, I shouldn't have said that. And listen, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. If Kody could acknowledge that he has said stuff he shouldn't have said and admit that he's made mistakes and apologize to his children, I think it would go a long way with some of these kids in the family. We hear him saying, I said this in anger. This wasn't what I actually wanted. If he could add an apology to that and say it to his children and not just on the show, I think there would be a little tiny bit of progress when it comes to these relationships. But Kody doesn't admit that he makes mistakes very often, and he really likes to place the blame on other people, so I don't know that that will ever happen. And I know a lot of you think the kids should go no contact with Kody, and I understand why you think that, but I think it hurts the kids. And from my perspective, even if they're never able to really fully work it out and have a full relationship with Kody, I think if there was a time they could sit down and talk to him and he could be a reasonable person, that would help them. So if he could try to pull it together for his kids and admit some mistakes, take some accountability, and apologize, that might really help them. So I wish he could do that. Like, I am rooting for Kody to help his children heal, even if they don't have a relationship with him. Even if he just pulls it together for a few counseling sessions, I think for these kids, they need the opportunity to talk to him and for him to listen. And then he can go back to being Kody and go back to Robin, and they've had their moment. I think that would help them. But I just don't know if he can do it. I know the comments are going to be coming in saying, you have too much faith in him. I don't even think I have faith in him. I just wish he could do it for them. Back in Janelle's kitchen, they are still talking about the situation with Kody. Janelle points out that Kody is stuck on the fact that he believes when it came to COVID, he was doing the right thing for the family, but Gabriel is not buying that.
I think that he was doing right for the family members that he chose to be with, not for the family.
Well, I think a lot of
Gabriel is a smart, insightful young man. I think he's on to something. During a confessional, Janelle says that many of the kids felt like Kody was finally getting the opportunity to live his life with his favorite wife and the family that he wanted to be with for a long time. I know I feel that way. That's what I think happened during COVID. And based on the comments that you all have left on my channel, I know many of you feel that way as well. Janelle says that her kids have many stories of times that Kody told them that he wished he had waited and just married Robin. You know, if she had heard this from just one of her kids and it was something that happened one time, it might have been something where she was like, this was a misunderstanding. But when she hears it from more than one of her kids and he's doing it multiple times, it's really hard to say there was a misunderstanding. And Kody says the worst stuff. He just will absolutely say the rudest, most hurtful things to people. He'll do it on the show. He'll write it in a book. It's like he doesn't care what the outcome will be for that person. So I believe he told the kids that. I don't think for a second he thought about how that would make them feel. To no one's surprise, Kody denies that he says any of this. He says it's not true. It's just gossip that is spread around and none of it happened. It's just funny to me when he denies that he said something, but then he says something similar or worse on the show. Like this whole issue with Maddie. He says he never told her that he didn't love Janelle. And then we watch him say on the show multiple times that he wasn't in love with the original 3 wives. At this point, the show switches over to Mary, and we find out that she has went through with the process of getting the release from the church. She says it was heartbreaking for her because this wasn't something she wanted to do. And when it happened, she reached out to Kody, but he never responded. Mary brings up the legal divorce that they went through years ago. She says even though they had done that, they were still spiritually bound for eternity. But now that she has been granted the release, there is nothing left of their marriage. We hear from Kody during a confessional, and he says that he got a phone call from the leaders of the church. He said that he was told that they were granted a release. He also said they disclosed some stuff that he did not want to share on the show, but he said it was upsetting. And at this point, they switch over to Mary, and she says the release was granted on the grounds of abandonment. You all know how much Kody dislikes the word abandonment when it comes to Mary, so there's this part of me that really likes that someone called him and said that they were granting the release for that reason. And we have this rare moment with Kody, and 2 things happen. One, it sort of feels like he blames Robin a little bit, and then he apologizes to Mary. So what happens is Kody is telling and explaining why he stayed in the relationship with Mary, and he says that Robin had given him the advice to wait on God when it came to his relationship with Mary, whether or not he should stay or go or work on things. So he stayed and he waited. He says he took that advice. So he's sort of placing some of that blame on Robin. We know that Robin encouraged him to have this relationship with Mary. We watched it. So he's talking about that, and then he says he realized things weren't going to change, and he, in front of the camera, apologizes to Mary. He says he wishes he would have figured it out sooner, and he's sorry to Mary for that. I want to know in the comments what you thought of that apology to her. To me, what I was hearing was that Kody has realized he dragged her along, and he should have ended it, and he's sorry. But I know sometimes Kody has a way of almost like a backhanded apology, like it's not really an apology. And I know you guys pick up on that stuff better than I do. So let me know what you thought down in the comments. I thought it seemed sincere. I think he's realized that whole thing went on longer than it should have, and it wasn't fair to her. But you guys can let me know what you think down in the comments. I will say that I wish Robin would have stayed out of it. Her heart may have been in the right spot. I know Mary was sort of an ally to her, and they were the 2 sister wives that were on that side of the line, and then there was Christine and Janelle on the other side. So I'm sure Robin still wanted her around, but in the long run, she wasn't helping Mary. It goes back over to Mary, and we find out that she is taking down the photos that she has of Kody in her house, and she brings up the fact that she was married to him for 33 years, and that is a lot of her lifetime. And then there are these 2 confessionals back to back. It starts with Robin, and she says that Kody has been really emotional about the situation with Mary, and he wishes that it didn't happen this way. But then it switches over to Kody, and he says that it's heartbreaking, but he is relieved that it's over. He continues on and says that he had moved on a long time ago, but he was always afraid of what Mary would do when he finally ended things with her. So he stayed in this relationship with her, if you want to call it a relationship. And then he adds this.
It's because Mary was never loyal to me ever. That's what I've been worried about, is just kind of reputation. Because when you get divorced, your reputation is trashed.
First of all, I just want to acknowledge that he sounds absolutely ridiculous there. But I also want to point out that according to him, he stayed with Mary in the beginning because of Robin, because Robin said to wait on God to kind of help him figure out what to do. So it was her fault in the beginning that he stayed. And then it was Mary's fault in the end because he was so worried about what Mary would do. And then he also goes further to say it would ruin his reputation. Dude, your reputation has been ruined. There was no reason to stay in a marriage that you didn't want to be in because you were worried of what people might think about you. They think bad things about you anyway. You do so many awful things that getting divorced would have been the kind thing to do. Let me know down in the comments if you thought Kody sounded like a fool there during that part of the show like I did. Or if you didn't, let me know Just let me know. Let me know what you thought about all of that. After this, it switches back over to Mary, and she starts talking about how she's going to be starting over. This is all going to be fresh for her, but she has got to deal with the pain. She says she hasn't told anyone in the family except Leon, and she says she thinks it would be weird to call people she doesn't normally talk to tell them about this. So she's just not going to do that. And I absolutely agree with her. If she isn't talking to Christine or Janelle or any of those kids, I think it would be really weird if she suddenly called them. So I understand why she's not doing it. During confessionals, we get to hear what Janelle and Christine think about Mary going and getting the release from the church. Neither one of them have any desire to do this themselves. Janelle says that she didn't even know they could do it because they're no longer a part of the church, but she supports Mary doing it. Christine also seems very supportive of Mary going and doing this. She basically says good for Mary, but she does say that she has no interest in doing it herself because she no longer respects the leaders of the church. Here's the thing that I like about the 3 original wives. They might not all get along, but they know how they were treated, and they know how the kids were treated. And even though they might not have a friendship now, they all support each other leaving him, because they all know they deserved more, and they aren't out there bashing each other a lot. It seems like when it comes to Mary leaving, she's the last one, Christine and Janelle seem to support her. I mean, I know they're not actually there for her. There seems to be a lot of differences in personality, but they're not talking bad about Mary. Janelle specifically talks about how Mary deserves more. I really like that about them. I like that they are able to do that even if they don't always get along. After this, we get a confessional from Robin where she starts crying as she talks about Mary and Kody's relationship.
Mary and Kody and I would be together, hanging out, and I would just feel the destiny in it.
Robin continues talking, and she says that she hopes Mary wants to continue to be friends with them. And I don't know why Mary would want to do that. I could see her possibly wanting to spend time with Robin away from Kody, but I don't know why Mary would want to go over there and see Kody and Robin together. And I don't know why Robin would think Mary would want to do that. We get to see a little bit more of Mary, and she says that she is glad the release is over. She can start fresh in the new year, but there's no denying that this must be really hard for her. Just because of how long she was with him. Like, she's really ending something that took up a lot of her life. She was with him for a long time. But Mary makes a point of saying she is not going to become a bitter ex. She's not going to be a bitter ex-wife because that doesn't serve her. Back over at Janelle's house, she is sitting down and eating with Gabe. Earlier in the episode, they had been cooking. So now they're actually sitting down and eating, and they're talking about Kody and how often he sees the kids. So it's sort of them talking and switching over to Janelle doing confessionals. Janelle says that Savannah sees that Kody every couple of months, and Savannah has sort of accepted that this is who he is, and she's just going to meet him where he's at. Savannah is just accepting who he is, but all I can think is, doesn't that sound like a deadbeat dad to you guys? A dad that just randomly shows up every now and then, and the kid expects absolutely nothing else from them? That's what it sounds like to me. But Savannah is a smart girl, and she realizes that this isn't the way it should be, and she says that one of her brothers will walk her down the aisle when she gets married. Now, can you imagine the tantrum that Kody Brown will have when that happens? Or when he heard this on the show? In my opinion, instead of hearing this and wanting to fix things with Savannah, Kody will probably watch this and decide to try to punish her by not seeing her at all. That's the kind of person that Kody is. But good for Savannah. She realizes that this isn't how it should be with her father, and her brothers have been there for her more than he has been. If Savannah's not worried about being traditional, she could let Janelle walk her down the aisle. I think that would be sweet. Anyway, I'll move on from that. It's not like it's going to happen anytime soon. Savannah is still very young. Janelle talks to Gabriel about the fact that Kody claims that everyone treated Robin like dirt. Gabriel, the intelligent, insightful young man that he is, responds by saying this.
I think that Robin definitely has a victim complex. And I don't necessarily blame her for that. Different people devise different strategies to keep themselves afloat. But
I do want to let you guys know that I had to chop that scene up a little bit and piece it back together because there were a lot of moments where he paused and he was chewing. So I pulled it back together so it was a bit shorter. But we've heard a very similar statement from Gwendolyn. Janelle says that her kids have a lot of anger toward Robin and they feel like she was always waiting at the side to twist their words. Again, there's been similar statements made by Gwendolyn. Gabriel goes on to say that if Robin genuinely believes that she was treated bad by them when she was always the favorite wife with their dad, then there's little chance that he's going to have a relationship with her. There ends up being a brief confessional with Kody where he says Janelle is a relationship coward because according to him, the last 2 conversations that Robin had with Janelle was Robin begging Janelle for a relationship. I don't even know what I think of that. You guys can let me know down in the comments what you think. It goes back over to Janelle, and she goes further and says that she thinks her children feel like there was a lot of ego stroking and manipulation when it came to Robin. Gabe adds that he would like to have a relationship with Robin's children. He's not sure he'll ever have one with Kody and Robin again, but he would like to have one with the kids. There was a moment where Janelle says Gabriel is at peace with the fact that he might not have a relationship with his father, and really that's what she wants for all of her kids. Isn't that incredibly heartbreaking? She has accepted the fact that Kody cannot be a father to them. He used to be this attentive, good dad, and they've basically given up on that. At this point, Janelle just wants her kids to have peace with the fact that Kody can't be the father that he should be. Janelle says that she has heard of situations like this happening before. She said that she worked with women who had gotten divorces and then suddenly those men were no longer fathers. They just went MIA. And I was sort of surprised to hear Janelle say this. I don't think Kody was suddenly a bad father when she said she wanted to leave. I think Kody was a bad father before. I just think he's worse now. You know, this isn't a situation where right before she wanted to leave him, he was fantastic. He was not that great of a dad. And that is what really led to her leaving him. So I was a little surprised that she mentioned that situation because I don't think that is what her situation is. Let me know down in the comments if you picked up on that. I just think Kody was a bad dad before. I mean, she said in previous episodes that the real deal breaker was his relationship with her children. When he wasn't being a good father, she didn't need to maintain that relationship with him anymore. After this, the show flips over to Robin. She appears to be sitting on her bathroom floor. It is 1 a.m. on Christmas Eve, and she says that this is going to be the first Christmas where there will be no other family there. She says she has been reflecting on things, and she talks about how she grew up in a polygamous family and how she had this testimony that she would live in a plural marriage. She also brings up how she saw the Browns all together and saw them as one big family, and she was excited to be a part of that. And I think she's telling the truth. I know there's a lot of accusations that she's really manipulative and lies about things, but I really think when Robin came into the family, she wanted to be a part of that. You know, she was a single mom, she was struggling, and I think she saw this huge support system, and she wanted that for herself and for her kids. There ends up being a confessional with Kody where he is basically saying he's trying to get Robin to understand that this just wasn't meant to be and that they need to move on. But Robin is really having a hard time. I think the fact that we saw her in this episode saying that she hoped Mary would be friends with them, I think it tells us all that she does not realize what's actually happened here. During a confessional, Robin cries that it just hit her that she is not going to have a perfect Christmas. Now, my instinct when I was watching this is to think about the fact that she hasn't been having holidays with the rest of the family for a couple years now. But I do think when people are upset about something, sometimes we sort of fixate on one event, even though there's a lot more going on. So I think she's really emotional that everyone is leaving all of a sudden, but Christmas just happens to be the holiday when it's really all hitting her. And I think Mary not being there, you know, I think that's making a huge difference because normally they could fall back on Mary being someone that would show up for things. There are confessionals with Christine and Janelle, and they talk about what Christmas used to be like, but they both have the same opinion. things need to change. It's time to move on and create new traditions. The family has changed. So they seem to be at a really good place with this and accepting it all. Robin is the one who is having a harder time, even a harder time than Kody is. And we know because Kody made this comment during the show.
For me now, my prayer was just like, save me and Robin.
That's his prayer. He has 18 children, 13 of them that he barely has a relationship with, and that's his prayer. I could understand if he had said, the only thing that I think is going to end up surviving is my relationship with Robin and her kids. That's true. That's a fact. But to say he is just praying for him and Robin to survive, this is craziness to me. And I just can't imagine being his kids and watching this. He has the opportunity to do these confessionals and try to say things that might help his kids understand his anger or where he's coming from. He has opportunity to apologize to people, and this is the stuff that he comes up with.
And pray that we just manage it, that we save our marriage, that we save us, we save the special that we started out with.
He just keeps going. It's really the same stuff we saw in the last episode when he was talking to Robin. He is really prioritizing that family, that relationship with her over the relationships that he should have with his kids. We end up seeing some more of Robin talking about how she's struggling, and she says the only thing that's keeping her head above water is prayer. And I have to tell you guys something. I used to think there's no way this is causing issues with Robin and Kody. They're probably better than ever. But if I was Robin and I saw Kody on a show talking about our relationship and how it was a priority over his kids, I would be furious. I would be so upset. So maybe this is taking a toll on them. I mean, I don't think Robin actually sees how this all went down. I don't know if she's watching the episodes. I think she needs to maybe take some alone time and sit down, just watch how it unfolds so that she can see what everyone else is seeing. I just don't think she's getting the big picture. I think Kody understands more of what happened because he played such a role in it. He understands how badly they were all treated. He knows what he did. But I don't think Robin realizes all of it. I do think she played a role in those COVID rules, though. But I think she's having a harder time because she doesn't get everything that occurred. And I just wonder what's really going on between the two of them. You guys can let me know down in the comments what you thought about all of this episode. If you haven't already and you would like to, you could go ahead and click like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support I get here and all of the comments I get to read. But that is it for this video. I hope you'll come back on Friday. I'll do another one then, and then I'll recap the next episode the following Monday. So thank you for coming to Happily Ever Reality.